The meeting hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than most human cities. Representatives from 17 different alien species sat in their floating chairs, discussing the fate of a small blue planet they barely knew existed. The air smelled like metal and strange chemicals that humans had never encountered. Ambassador Kepher from the Zephyrian Empire stood at the center of the room. His scaled skin reflected the bright lights as he spoke to the council members. "The humans are taking up valuable space," he said in his deep voice. "Their solar system has resources we need. They are primitive and weak. We can remove them easily." The other aliens nodded their heads in agreement. They had been watching Earth for many years. Humans still fought wars with chemical explosives and metal bullets. They had not even figured out how to travel faster than light. To these ancient civilizations, humans were like insects that needed to be swept away. "How long will it take?" asked the representative from the Crystal Collective. Her body looked like living glass that changed colors when she spoke. Kepher smiled, showing his sharp teeth. 3 days at most. We will use our standard cleansing protocol. Quick and clean. The humans will not even know what happened." The vote was unanimous. All 17 species agreed. Earth would be destroyed to make room for a new mining operation. It was just business to them. They had done this before to other primitive species. None of them had ever fought back effectively. 3 weeks later, the Zephyrian fleet emerged from hyperspace near Earth's moon. 50 massive warships, each one the size of a human city, appeared in the darkness of space. Their weapons charged with a humming sound that no human ear would ever hear. Admiral Sarah Chun was in the command center of Earth's primary defense station when the alarms started screaming. She had been a soldier for 30 years, but she had never seen anything like the ships that appeared on her screens. "How many?" she asked her communications officer. 50 confirmed, Admiral. Maybe more hiding behind the moon. The young man's voice was shaking. "They're not responding to any of our radio signals." Admiral Chun looked at the tactical display. Earth's entire space defense force consisted of 12 small patrol ships and 36 missile platforms orbiting the planet. Against 50 alien warships, they might as well be throwing rocks. "Send a message to all defense platforms," she ordered. "Prepare for battle. And send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we're about to find out if we're alone in the universe." The first alien ship fired without warning. A beam of pure energy lanced across space and struck New York City. In less than 2 seconds, 8 million people simply vanished in a flash of white light. The beam left behind a crater of melted glass where Manhattan used to be. More beams followed. London disappeared. Tokyo became a smoking hole in the ground. Moscow was erased from existence. The alien ships moved with mechanical precision, targeting every major population center on Earth. Admiral Chun watched her home world burn from space. The communication channels filled with screaming voices, desperate pleas for help, and then silence as entire cities died. Earth's defensive missiles were swatted aside like toys. The patrol ships lasted less than 10 minutes against the alien weapons. "Admiral, we're getting a transmission from the alien fleet," her communications officer reported. His face was pale with shock. "Put it through." The voice that came through the speakers was cold and emotionless. It spoke perfect English, which somehow made it even more terrifying. "Primitive species of Earth, you have been selected for termination. Your planet will be cleansed to make room for more advanced civilizations. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Admiral Chung gripped the arms of her chair so hard her knuckles turned white. 2 billion people had died in the first hour of the attack. Her daughter lived in Los Angeles. Her daughter had lived in Los Angeles. "Send them our response," she said quietly. "What should I tell them, Admiral?" Admiral Chun stood up and walked to the communication console. She pressed the transmission button herself and spoke directly into the microphone. Her voice was calm and clear, but anyone who knew her could hear the rage burning underneath. "Alien Fleet, this is Admiral Sarah Chun of Earth Defense Command. You want our surrender? Here's our answer. You should have killed us all." The transmission ended. The alien ships continued their bombardment, but something had changed. In underground bunkers across Earth, military leaders who had survived the initial attack received Admiral Chun's message. They understood what she was really saying. Earth's governments had prepared for many possible disasters: nuclear war, asteroid impacts, climate change. But they had also prepared for something called the Extinction Protocol. It was a plan so terrible that it was only supposed to be used if humanity faced complete annihilation. General Marcus Rodriguez was in a bunker 3 miles beneath the Colorado mountains when he received the authorization codes. He had hoped he would never see these numbers. They gave him permission to do things that violated every treaty and moral law humanity had ever created. "Sir, are you sure about this?" asked his aide. The young lieutenant was staring at the computer screen that showed the activation sequence for humanity's darkest secrets. "They killed 2 billion people in 1 hour," General Rodriguez replied. "They think we're primitives who will just roll over and die. They're about to learn something about human beings that we hoped we'd never have to teach anyone." He entered the codes. Across Earth, hidden facilities began to wake up. Laboratories that had been sealed for decades opened their doors. Weapons that existed only in theoretical documents began their production cycles. Most importantly, the AI systems that had been kept under strict ethical constraints received new orders. Develop methods of warfare using any means necessary. The aliens had made their first mistake. They had assumed that because humans were primitive, they were also predictable. They thought that a massive show of force would make humanity surrender like every other species. They had conquered. They were wrong. When humans faced extinction, they didn't surrender. They became something much more dangerous than anyone in the galaxy could have. Imagine the war for Earth's survival was about to begin. And the aliens were going to learn why humans had conquered their own planet before they had ever left it. Dr. Emily Watson had been working in the underground research facility for 3 days without sleep. The stimulant injections kept her mind sharp while her body ran on pure determination and rage. Around her, the best scientists on Earth worked frantically to turn theoretical weapons into reality. "How much time do we have?" asked Dr. James Park, the facility's chief engineer. His hand shook slightly as he adjusted the quantum field generator they had been building. "The alien ships are still in orbit," Emily replied, checking her tablet. "They're taking their time destroying our cities. They think they've already won." Above them, the Zephyrian fleet continued its systematic destruction of Earth. They moved slowly and carefully, like farmers harvesting crops. Every few hours, another major city would disappear in a flash of energy. The aliens were in no hurry. They had done this many times before, but the Zephyrians didn't understand human psychology. They expected the survivors to hide in fear and wait for death. Instead, humanity was using every hour of delay to become more dangerous. In a laboratory in Switzerland, teams of biochemists worked to create combat drugs that would keep soldiers fighting for weeks without rest. The drugs would eventually kill anyone who used them, but that didn't matter anymore. Earth was dying, and everyone knew it. In Japan, engineers retrofitted particle accelerators to work as weapons. The massive machines that had been used to study atoms were now being modified to fire beams that could cut through alien ship armor. It would take time to make them mobile, but time was all they needed. Most importantly, in a facility beneath the Nevada desert, computer scientists removed every ethical restriction from Earth's most advanced artificial intelligence systems. The AIs had been programmed to never create weapons of mass destruction or develop methods of total warfare. Now they were given a single command: find ways to kill aliens using any method possible. Aria. Status report. Dr. Watson said to the computer terminal. The IS voice was calm and pleasant, which made its words even more chilling. I have developed 47 new weapon concepts in the past 6 hours. Dr. Watson. 12 of them utilize captured alien technology. 8 involve biological warfare agents. 27 combine human manufacturing capabilities with alien materials in ways that should be impossible according to their engineering principles. Show me the most effective designs. That depends on your definition of effective. If you want maximum psychological impact, I recommend the ghost ship concept. Small vessels operated by single volunteers using combination stimulant-sedative drug cocktails to maintain combat effectiveness for extended periods. If you want maximum material damage, the quantum cascade bombs would be most suitable. Dr. Watson studied the designs that appeared on her screen. The AI had created weapons that violated every principle of civilized warfare. But civilization had ended when the aliens decided to commit genocide. Begin production of both designs, she ordered. Dr. Watson. I should point out that the ghost ship crews have a 0% survival rate. The drug combinations required will result in cardiac failure within 14 days maximum. I'll find volunteers, she replied grimly. She was right. When the call went out for volunteers for a high-risk mission with no possibility of return, the response was overwhelming. These were people who had lost everything in the alien attack. Parents whose children had been vaporized. Soldiers whose units had been wiped out. Scientists whose life's work had been destroyed. Captain Mike Torres had been a fighter pilot before the attack. His wife and 2 kids had been in Seattle when it disappeared. Now he stood in front of a strange-looking spaceship that barely looked capable of flight. This is the fastest thing we can build with current technology, explained the engineer. It's more of a guided missile than a spaceship. Life support for 2 weeks maximum. Weapon systems that will probably kill you when you fire them. And once you start the combat drug regimen, there's no going back. Captain Torres looked at the crewed ship and smiled grimly. What kind of damage can it do? Against one of their battleships? You might be able to take out their engines or weapon systems before they destroy you. Against a supply convoy? You could probably eliminate the entire group. Where do I sign up? Across Earth, similar conversations were happening. Humanity was transforming itself into something the galaxy had never seen before. Not just an army, but an entire species dedicated to warfare. The first test came when a Zephyrian supply convoy entered the solar system. 3 cargo ships escorted by 2 destroyers, carrying food and ammunition for the fleet destroying Earth. They approached Mars with the casual confidence of a species that had never been seriously challenged by primitives. The convoy never saw the ghost ship coming. Captain Torres had been injecting combat stimulants for 4 days, and his reflexes were faster than any normal human could achieve. His ship was too small for the alien sensors to detect until it was too late. He rammed his vessel into the lead cargo ship's reactor core and detonated the quantum explosives that Dr. Watson's team had packed into his hull. The explosion was visible from Earth. All 5 alien ships were destroyed in a chain reaction that lit up space like a miniature sun. Message Captain Torres had recorded before his final attack was broadcast on all frequencies. This is Earth. We are still here. We are coming for you. The Zephyrian fleet commander received the transmission with confusion rather than alarm. One small attack by desperate primitives meant nothing. His ships continued their bombardment of Earth's surface, destroying another city every few hours. But Admiral Kethver began to notice something strange. Other supply convoys started disappearing. Patrol ships sent to investigate never returned. And strangest of all, the humans on the surface had stopped trying to contact the fleet. No more surrender offers. No more desperate pleas for mercy. Just silence. In the underground facilities, production continued around the clock. Every day, more ghost ships launched from hidden bases. Every day, human weapons became more sophisticated. The AIs worked constantly, improving designs, finding weaknesses in alien technology, developing new ways to fight. Status report. General Rodriguez requested during one of his daily briefings. 43 ghost ship missions completed, reported his aide. Enemy losses include 17 supply convoys, 8 patrol groups, and 2 communication relays. Our ships are reaching targets as far as Jupiter now. Casualties? Total. Every mission is a one-way trip, as planned. General Rodriguez nodded. It was a horrific way to fight a war, but it was working. Each ghost ship attack was followed by human crews, scavenging alien wreckage and learning new technologies. Each mission taught them more about how to hurt their enemies. Most importantly, the psychological impact was growing. The aliens had expected easy victory over cowering primitives. Instead, they were facing an enemy that fought with such savage desperation that it defied their understanding of rational behavior. The Zephyrians were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their courage. It was their ability to become whatever kind of monster the situation required them to be. Admiral Kethver stood in the command center of his flagship, staring at the tactical display with growing unease. Red symbols marked the locations where his ships had disappeared over the past month. The pattern made no sense according to any military doctrine he understood. How many ships have we lost? He asked his tactical officer. 37 vessels, Admiral. Supply ships, patrol craft, and 2 destroyers. All destroyed by these ghost ship attacks. Kethver's scales rippled with annoyance. Primitives with suicide ships. We've seen this before. Increase escort strength for all convoys. Sir, there's something else. Intelligence has intercepted human communications. They're not just using suicide tactics anymore. They're salvaging our technology and improving it. The Admiral turned to face his officer. Improving it how? The last ghost ship that attacked Convoy 7 was using modified versions of our own plasma cannons. According to the damage reports, their weapons were actually more powerful than ours. This was impossible. The Zephyrian Empire had been building starships for 3,000 years. Their weapons technology was proven in hundreds of conquests. Humans had barely learned to split atoms a century ago. Show me the wreckage analysis, Kethver demanded. The holographic display showed the remains of a human ship that had been destroyed while attacking a Zephyrian patrol. The alien engineers had studied every piece of debris, and what they found disturbed them greatly. The humans have taken our plasma focusing crystals and modified them using their own manufacturing techniques, the tactical officer explained. They're creating power outputs 30% higher than our original designs. They've also miniaturized our shield generators and installed them in ships 1/10 the size of our cruisers. Admiral Kethver studied the data with growing alarm. This wasn't just primitive desperation anymore. The humans were learning, adapting, and improving faster than should be possible. What about the surface bombardment? How much longer until the planet is completely cleansed? At current rate, approximately 6 more months, Admiral. The humans have gone underground. Our sensors show massive tunnel networks being built beneath the remaining cities. 6 months. Admiral Kethver had planned to finish this operation in 3 days. Now his fleet was trapped in a grinding siege against enemies who seemed to get stronger every time they were attacked. On Earth, The underground cities buzzed with constant activity. Millions of survivors worked in shifts that never stopped. Factories produced weapons around the clock. Laboratories developed new technologies using captured alien equipment. Most importantly, recruitment centers processed an endless stream of volunteers for the ghost ship. PROGRAM. Dr. Watson walked through one of the volunteer processing centers, watching as ordinary humans transformed themselves into weapons. Teachers, doctors, farmers, children barely old enough to drive cars. All of them had lost someone in the initial attack. All of them wanted revenge more than they wanted to live. "How many ships can we launch this week?" she asked the facility commander. 57 ghost ships ready for deployment," Colonel Sarah Martinez replied. "Another 100 will be ready by next week. Production is accelerating as we learn to mass-produce alien technology. And the crews? We have more volunteers than we can use. The problem isn't finding people willing to die for Earth. The problem is building ships fast enough." Dr. Watson nodded grimly. Earth had become a factory for producing weapons and hatred in equal measure. Every person working in these facilities had been transformed by the alien attack from peaceful civilians into something much more dangerous: the ghost ship. Attacks were no longer random suicide runs. Human strategists had studied the alien fleet patterns and identified critical weaknesses. Supply lines that stretched across the solar system. Communication relays that couldn't be easily defended. Most importantly, the psychological impact on alien crews who had never faced an enemy willing to die just to hurt them. Captain Lisa Chun, Admiral Chun's daughter, who had survived the destruction of Los Angeles, piloted a ghost ship toward a Zephyrian communication station. She had been taking combat drugs for 9 days, and her body was failing. But her mind was crystal clear, focused on the single purpose of causing maximum damage to the aliens who had destroyed her world. "Ghost 7 to Earth Command," she transmitted. "Target in sight. Beginning attack run. Copy. Ghost 7. Good hunting." Captain Chen smiled as she armed her ship's weapons. The Zephyrians had made their communication relay too large to move quickly and too important to abandon. It was a perfect target for someone who didn't plan to survive the mission. Her ship screamed through space, moving too fast for the station's defensive weapons to track. The modified alien plasma cannons that human engineers had installed fired continuously, tearing through the station's shields like paper. When her weapons overloaded and exploded, she rammed her ship into the station's main transmitter array. The explosion eliminated the primary communication hub for the entire Zephyrian fleet. For 6 hours, alien ships throughout the solar system couldn't coordinate their movements or call for reinforcements. 6 hours was exactly how long the next phase of humanity's plan needed to work, while the Zephyrian fleet struggled with communication blackouts. 50 ghost ships emerged from hiding places throughout the asteroid belt. They had been waiting for this moment, piloted by crews who had survived on stimulants and pure hatred for weeks. The coordinated attack hit 12 different targets simultaneously. Supply depots, repair facilities, escort ships guarding important convoys. In the space of 1 hour, humanity inflicted more damage on the Zephyrian fleet than they had suffered in the previous month of individual attacks. But the most devastating blow wasn't military. It was psychological. The aliens had been monitoring human communications, trying to understand their enemies' thinking. What they heard in the transmissions between ghost ships terrified them more than any weapon could. The human crews weren't screaming battle cries or making desperate final statements. They were calm, professional, and utterly without fear. They discussed their attacks like engineers solving technical problems. They shared tactical information like scientists comparing research notes. Most disturbing of all, They seemed genuinely happy as they died destroying alien ships. "Target destroyed," one pilot reported as his ship exploded along with a Zephyrian destroyer. "Recommend Ghost 12 adjust approach angle by 15 degrees for optimal damage to similar targets." "Copy. Ghost 7. Thanks for the tip." Beginning my run now. The aliens realized they weren't fighting desperate survivors anymore. They were fighting an entire species that had industrialized suicide warfare and turned it into a precise science. Admiral Kethfer received the damage reports in his command center and felt something he hadn't experienced in decades of military service. Genuine fear. "Total losses?" he asked quietly. 18 ships destroyed, Admiral. 15 more damaged badly enough to require major repairs. And we've lost contact with our main supply base near Jupiter. The Admiral looked at the tactical display showing the remains of his fleet. In 6 weeks, the primitive humans had reduced his invasion force by more than half. His remaining ships were scattered under constant attack and running low on supplies. Worst of all, intelligence reports suggested that the human attacks were just getting started. Their underground factories were producing ships faster than ever. Their weapons were becoming more sophisticated with each captured piece of alien technology. "Send a message to High Command," Admiral Kethfer ordered. "Request immediate reinforcements. All available ships." "Sir, should I mention the casualties we've taken?" The Admiral considered lying, minimizing the damage to protect his reputation. Then he thought about the human pilots who smiled as they died killing his people. "Tell them the truth," he said finally. "Tell them we're fighting something we don't understand. And tell them to send everything they have, because I don't think what we have left is going to be enough." The emergency session of the Galactic Council was held in complete secrecy. Representatives from 17 species gathered in their floating chairs, but the atmosphere was very different from their casual meeting months ago. Fear had replaced confidence. Worry had replaced arrogance. Ambassador Veltar from the Crystal Collective spoke first. "We have received Admiral Kethfer's request for reinforcements. He reports losing 60% of his fleet to human resistance." Murmurs of disbelief echoed through the chamber. The representative from the hegemony of suns, a species that had conquered 40 star systems, shook his many-tentacled head. "Impossible. Humans are primitives. They have no interstellar technology, no advanced weapons, no military experience against spacefaring civilizations. Yet they are winning," Veltar replied coldly. "Our intelligence networks throughout the galaxy are reporting something unprecedented. The humans are not just defending their planet. They are hunting our ships across multiple star systems." The holographic display at the center of the chamber lit up, showing the current tactical situation. Red dots marked locations where alien vessels had been attacked or destroyed. The pattern was spreading outward from Earth's solar system like a growing infection. "How is this possible?" asked the Zephyrian High Commander. "Our ships travel faster than light. Human vessels should not be able to follow us. They are stealing our technology," replied the military analyst. "Every ship they destroy provides them with new capabilities. Faster engines, better weapons, improved shields. They are learning our secrets and improving upon them with frightening speed." Ambassador Kethfer himself appeared as a hologram, transmitting from his damaged flagship. His scaled skin was pale, and his usual confident demeanor had been replaced by something close to desperation. "Honored council members, I must report that the situation has deteriorated beyond all predictions. The humans are no longer fighting defensively. They have begun offensive operations against our home territories." The chamber fell silent. Several representatives leaned forward in their chairs, unable to believe what they were hearing. "Explain," demanded the Crystal Collective ambassador. 3 days ago, human ships attacked a supply depot in the Rigel system. Yesterday, they destroyed a research station in Zeta Reticuli. This morning, we lost contact with an entire mining colony near Vega. The humans are somehow traveling between star systems and targeting our infrastructure. How many ships are they using for these attacks? Kethvara's expression grew even more grim. Intelligence suggests individual vessels. Small crews, possibly single operators. They appear to be using captured faster-than-light technology combined with their own modifications. The implications were staggering. A primitive species had gone from planetary confinement to interstellar warfare in less than 3 months. They were conducting hit-and-run attacks across dozens of light years with apparent ease. What about their tactics? Asked the military analyst. Unlike anything in our combat databases, Kethvara replied. They show no regard for their own survival. Every attack is a suicide mission, but they achieve maximum damage before dying. Most disturbing, they seem to be learning from each engagement. Their attacks are becoming more sophisticated and more effective. The representative from the hegemony of suns made a dismissive gesture with several tentacles. Suicide attacks are primitive. No civilized military uses such tactics. With respect, Kethvara responded. Civilized military doctrine assumes that soldiers want to survive. These humans seem to prefer dying while killing us. It makes them unpredictable and extremely dangerous. On Earth, the underground cities had evolved into something that would have been unrecognizable to the human civilization that existed before the attack. Gone were schools, shopping centers, entertainment venues. Everything was devoted to war production and training. Children as young as 12 worked in factories, assembling weapons components. Elderly people who could barely walk operated manufacturing equipment 18 hours a day. Scientists who had once researched medical cures now spent their time developing new ways to kill aliens. General Rodriguez walked through one of the main production facilities, watching human society transform itself into a machine designed for one purpose: revenge on a galactic scale. Production. Report, he requested from the facility commander. Ghost ship production. Up to 12 units per day, Major Thompson replied. We've also completed the first batch of deep strike vessels. The deep strike ships were the next evolution of human warfare. Unlike the ghost ships, which were designed for attacks within the solar system, these vessels incorporated stolen faster-than-light technology. They could travel between star systems and strike at alien targets hundreds of light years from Earth. Crew selection for deep strike missions? We have more volunteers than ships, Major Thompson answered. The psychological profile for deep strike crews is different from ghost ship pilots. These missions can last months before reaching their targets. Crews need to maintain combat effectiveness during extended faster-than-light travel. General Rodriguez nodded. The human military had learned to select different types of volunteers for different types of missions. Ghost ship pilots were chosen for their ability to function under extreme stress for short periods. Deep strike crews needed the mental stability to travel alone through interstellar space for months while planning complex attacks. But all of them shared one common characteristic. They had lost everything in the initial alien bombardment and wanted revenge more than they wanted to live. Captain David Park had been selected for the first deep strike mission to the Zephyrian home system. His wife and parents had died when Beijing was destroyed. He had spent 3 months in training, learning to operate stolen alien faster-than-light engines and studying target information gathered from captured enemy databases. Mission parameters? He asked during his final briefing. Primary target is the main military shipyard orbiting Zephyr Prime, Dr. Watson explained. Intelligence indicates it produces approximately 60% of their fleet vessels. Secondary targets include orbital defense platforms and communication arrays. Expected enemy response? Total: Once you begin your attack, every ship in the system will try to stop you. Mission success depends on achieving maximum damage before being destroyed. Captain Park studied the target information on his tablet. The Zephyrian shipyard was heavily defended by hundreds of military vessels. Under normal circumstances, attacking it would require a fleet of battleships and thousands of soldiers. But human military doctrine no longer followed normal circumstances. How much damage can one ship realistically cause? He asked. The deep strike vessel carries experimental quantum cascade weapons developed by our AI systems. If you can penetrate the shipyard's main reactor chamber, the explosion should destroy the entire facility and most of the defending fleet. Captain Park smiled grimly. When do I leave? Immediately. And Captain, your mission has been designated Operation Prometheus. You're bringing fire to the aliens who thought they could destroy us. As Captain Park's ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, similar vessels launched from hidden bases throughout the solar system. Each one carried a single crew member and enough experimental weapons to cripple an entire star system. The Galactic Council had made their decision to eliminate humanity, based on the assumption that primitives couldn't threaten advanced civilizations. They were about to discover that they had created something far worse than a threat. They had created an enemy that viewed interstellar warfare as a form of justice, and death as an acceptable price for revenge. The deep strike missions would take months to reach their targets. But when they arrived, the galaxy would learn that humanity's retaliation was no longer confined to their own solar system. The war was about to become galactic. 6 months after Captain Park's deep strike mission launched, the first reports began arriving from across the galaxy. Communication networks that had operated for thousands of years suddenly went silent. Star systems that had been thriving centers of trade and industry stopped responding to calls. Ancient civilizations simply vanished from galactic contact. The Galactic Council's emergency session was held in a bunker deep beneath the capital world's surface. Fear had replaced their former arrogance completely. These were species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia, and now they were hiding underground like animals. Status report, demanded the Crystal Collective representative, her glass-like body flickering with nervous energy. The military analyst's voice shook as he spoke. 17 star systems have gone completely dark in the past month. No communications, no trade ships, no emergency beacons. It's as if entire civilizations have simply stopped existing. What about the Zephyrian home system? Asked the hegemony representative. Total destruction, the analyst replied quietly. Long-range sensors detected a massive explosion near Zephyr Prime 8 days ago. The energy signature matched theoretical projections for quantum cascade detonation. The entire system appears to be gone. Silence filled the bunker. The Zephyrian Empire had been one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Their home system had been defended by thousands of warships and orbital defense platforms. The idea that a single human ship could destroy it was beyond comprehension. How many other attacks have been confirmed? The Crystal Collective representative asked. We've identified at least 40 separate incidents. Industrial centers, military bases, communication hubs. The humans appear to be targeting critical infrastructure across dozens of star systems. Ambassador Veltar studied the tactical display showing the spreading pattern of destruction. What is their strategy? Are they trying to conquer territory? No, the analyst replied. They're not conquering anything. They're not even stealing resources. They're just destroying everything they can reach. Every attack follows the same pattern. Maximum damage, total crew loss, no attempt to capture or hold positions. The horrible truth was becoming clear. Humanity wasn't trying to win a traditional war. They were conducting a campaign of pure extermination, and they seemed willing to sacrifice their entire species to accomplish it. How many humans are involved in these attacks? Asked the hegemony representative. Unknown. Each attack appears to involve individual ships with small crews, but intelligence suggests they're launching new missions constantly. It's possible they're converting their entire remaining population into interstellar weapons. On Earth, the underground cities had reached their final evolution. The planet's surface was a radioactive wasteland, but beneath the ground, the last remnants of humanity worked with mechanical precision to build ships and train crews for deep strike. MISSION's Dr. Watson had aged decades in the past year. Her hair was white, her hands shook from too much stimulant use, and her eyes held a coldness that would have terrified the woman she used to be. Around her, the production facility hummed with constant activity as humans transformed themselves into guided missiles aimed at alien civilizations. "How many missions have we launched?" she asked her aide. 237 deep strike vessels deployed, the young man replied. Mission success rate is 100%. Every target has been eliminated as planned. Dr. Watson nodded. The mathematics of human revenge were simple. Every alien ship that had participated in Earth's bombardment would be repaid with the destruction of an entire star system. Every alien civilian who had benefited from humanity's genocide would pay with their species' extinction. What's the status of the Omega Protocol? Her aide's face went pale. Even after everything they had done, the Omega Protocol still frightened the people who knew about it. Phase 1 is complete. All quantum cascade weapons have been deployed to target systems. Phase 2 awaits your authorization. The Omega Protocol was humanity's final card. If they were going to be extinct, they would take the galaxy with them. Every major alien civilization, every important star system, every center of galactic civilization had been marked for simultaneous destruction. 300 human ships were currently traveling through faster-than-light space toward these targets. Each one carried enough experimental weapons to destroy entire solar systems. When they arrived, they would detonate simultaneously, eliminating most of the galaxy's advanced civilizations in a single coordinated strike. Not yet, Dr. Watson said. We wait to see if they ask for negotiations. The call for negotiations came 2 days later. Human representatives, the transmission began. Broadcast on every frequency from the Galactic Council's hidden bunker. We acknowledge our error in ordering the destruction of your world. We are prepared to discuss terms for ending this conflict. Please respond. The message repeated for hours before a response came from Earth. When it arrived, every alien who heard it felt their courage die. The voice was calm, professional, and completely without emotion. It could have been reading a weather report instead of delivering the galaxy's death sentence. Galactic Council, we have received your transmission. Our terms are simple. Complete surrender of all military forces. Voluntary evacuation of 17 star systems to be designated as human memorial zones. Reparations equal to the complete gross domestic product of all Council species for the next 1,000 years. The aliens exchanged desperate looks. The terms were impossible to meet. The humans were demanding the effective enslavement of the entire galaxy. If our terms are not acceptable, the human voice continued, we will proceed with total extermination protocols. You have 72 hours to respond. The next 72 hours were the longest in galactic history. Council representatives argued desperately about response options. Some wanted to surrender completely. Others wanted to fight. A few suggested trying to negotiate modified terms. But deep in their hearts, they all knew the truth. They had awakened something terrible when they decided to commit genocide against humanity. The species that had once built art galleries and written poetry had transformed itself into a force of pure destruction that would not stop until every alien in the galaxy was dead. When the deadline passed without a surrender, the human response was swift and final. "Your silence is your answer," the transmission said. "Omega Protocol is now active. You have approximately 6 months before the final phase completes. We suggest you use that time to make peace with whatever gods you worship." Across the galaxy, human deep strike ships began emerging from faster-than-light travel near their final targets. Each crew had trained for months to complete their mission. Each ship carried enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems. Captain Sarah Kim brought her ship out of faster-than-light travel near the Crystal Collective's home system. Her mission was to destroy the civilization that had voted to exterminate her species. She had been traveling alone through interstellar space for 8 months, sustained by combat drugs and the memory of her family's death. Final log entry. She spoke into her ship's recorder. "This is Captain Kim. Deep Strike Mission 73. Target is the Crystal Collective Capital System. Population approximately 12 billion. Mission is proceeding as planned." She armed her ship's quantum cascade weapons and began her final approach. The alien defense fleet tried to stop her, but human ships were designed to penetrate any defense through sheer determination. When her ship exploded in the heart of the system's star, the resulting detonation destroyed every world, every ship, and every living being within 50 light years. Similar explosions began occurring throughout the galaxy. Ancient civilizations that had existed for millions of years died in minutes. Star systems that had been centers of art, culture, and science became radioactive wastelands. The few surviving alien populations sent desperate final messages into space, hoping someone would hear their last words. But there was no one left to listen. The galaxy was dying, and humanity was the weapon that killed it. On Earth, Dr. Watson stood in the observation deck of the deepest underground facility and watched the tactical display showing the galaxy-wide extinction. Red dots marked each successful mission. Entire sectors of space went dark as human ships completed their assignments. "Is this what we wanted?" asked her aide, staring at the display showing the death of galactic civilization. Dr. Watson thought about her daughter, who had been killed in the first alien attack. She thought about the 2 billion humans who had died in the opening hours of the invasion. She thought about the species that had casually voted to exterminate humanity without a second thought. "They chose this," she said quietly. "They decided that genocide was acceptable. We're just teaching them what genocide really means." The last transmission from Earth went out 6 months later, when the final human deep strike mission completed its objective. The message was broadcast on all frequencies, meant for any possible survivors who might be listening. "This is Earth. We were a species that wrote music, created art, and dreamed of exploring the stars in peace. You destroyed our world and killed our people because you thought we were too primitive to matter. You were wrong about what we were.